Hi everyone, it's Crystal. I'm back with another video. I added some photos today to one of the Facebook groups that I'm in, using stickers on my bezels as a background, and a lot of people were asking how I did it, so I figured I would share with everyone here. So for today's video, the materials that we need some bezels. I've purchased all of these from Amazon, as always. Amazon is my favorite place to get materials. I also have some stickers. So I've gotten this sticker came in a pack with a bunch of vintage looking ephemera stickers. I have this sticker here. So I'm going to use this one on this bezel, this one on this bezel, and then I also have some washi tape. I purchased this, I think it was in an astrology pack. So we're going to use the washi tape on this bezel here. So the first thing that you want to do is, after you identify what stickers you want to use and what bezels you want to use, the first thing you'll do, you'll remove your sticker. I have something on my hand here. Remove your sticker from the backing. So I have this one here, and now these are not going to fit on the bezels unless you have like something perfect. So what I do is I put this in and I try to say, okay, this is where I'd like it to be. And I know that this isn't going to, I'm not going to see all of the hand. For me, that's okay. So what I do is I take my dotting tool and I will push all around this sticker in the bezel, and it just creates a nice little crease around the corners and allows me to go in afterwards with my X-Acto knife. So I'm going to use this X-Acto knife, and what I do is I just go right around the corner. I try to hold this away from myself because I am probably one of the clumsiest people I know, and most people that know me will probably agree. So I'm just going to use my X-Acto knife and go in that crease that we made with the dotting tool. All the way around. There. Okay, and then I pull off what I cut. And you can see here. Okay, and then we're going to do that again with this sticker here on this black bezel. I don't know what that is. Okay, so we'll remove our sticker. And some of these are not very easy to take off, so I apologize if this is taking a long time. Plus I just cut all my fingernails off, so it was really bad timing. But you know how it is. It was getting hard to type at work. I might give up on this sticker pretty soon. I think honestly, so this technique is super easy, and you'll see, I think this is actually, removing the stickers from the backing is the absolute hardest part for me. That and trying not to cut myself. Okay, here we go. So for this one here, the key would be to try to line it up as best as you can. On these oval ones, they're a little bit trickier. If you have like a round bezel or a perfectly square bezel, it's a lot easier if you make a mistake when you're lining up your piece, because once you cut that, you can still, this one is going to be a little bit off center, but I don't really care. But with the round, the perfectly round and the perfectly square bezels, you can actually remove your sticker after you've cut it and try to center it better. Okay, now we'll cut this one. And I know when my husband watches this video later, he's going to be cringing the entire time watching me cut this. And it's so funny. My husband is a professional chef, and he's actually a very good chef. And he tried to teach me how to properly use a kitchen knife, because the first time he watched me cutting any vegetables, he was cringing and covering his eyes the whole time. And he just told me to put the knife down. He's like, just put it down. Just put it down. So I know he'll be cringing when he sees this, but okay. There we go. So yeah, a little off center, but actually kind of like how this looks. So we could actually add some charms here afterwards to kind of make it look like it's supposed to be that way. And then for the washi tape, so this washi tape is actually almost the same width as this. So we'll see how that goes. But we're going to try to pick a piece that looks really cool. I really like how that looks right there. That moon. So I'll rip off the washi tape. Washi tape is so cool because it's like paper tape, but it's got this, it's like a very, it's not like a plastic coating, but it's very smooth and it is a bit waterproof. So, okay, we're going to put that in there and just push that down. And I actually don't even think we're going to need to trim the sides on this one. I'm just going to trim the top and the bottom because this, oh, maybe that trimmed it for me. Yeah, you got to be careful with the dotting tool and the washi tape. The washi tape is very delicate, as you just saw. So I'm going to do this here. And if any of it rips, you can just push it back down too. I'm not very good with this, and I probably do need a sharper blade. So we have like a little bit of ripping here, but that's okay, because what I'll do is I will use my dotting tool to kind of push that down. There. Okay. Now the next thing that we're going to do, like I said, that part was the hardest part of this whole thing. I'm going to go in with my high viscosity UV resin from J. Diction, and we're just going to fill these up with some resin and then cure them. And I like to work in layers when I work with my UV resin. So we will be going over this a couple of times to dome them, just to make them a little bit higher. This is going to be just like the first layer. You want to get all the way to the corners on these. And these stickers are actually waterproof stickers, so they're made the way Amazon advertises them. They're made for like water bottles and things like that. They say you can easily remove them without any residue. So I don't know how like a regular paper sticker would be. Try to go for the ones that say they can be used on water bottles. I think those will probably work better with these. You won't have any bleeding of the colors or anything like that. I think I know I've tried using scrapbook paper before, or like photographs, things like that, and sometimes what will happen is the colors will actually bleed if it's not like a prepared surface that's meant to have some kind of moisture on it. The resin will change the colors. So I'm just gonna fill this in. And then what we'll do is we will torch these just to get any bubbles out. And then we'll cure this for about 100 seconds or so. Maybe 120 seconds. Okay. We'll be right back. Okay, everyone, we're back. So we're going to do another layer of the high viscosity resin on these. I'm going to actually put a lot more in this one because it's still very, 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 very low right now. Just fill this one up. And while these were curing, I was looking at what I had for charms and to see if we wanted to put any charms on all of these or some of these. I tend to always go with, like, I use a lot of spiders and snakes and moths in my charms, so we have a little bit of a bubble here, so that tells me that we might have had a little bit of an air bubble in this washi tape. It might be lifting up a little bit. We can hide that with a charm though. So I did pick out some charms for these, but we're gonna actually cure this guy here for a little bit longer. I think I'm gonna go for another 2 minutes on this guy and maybe put a layer of some regular viscosity resin on these, and we will be right back. Hey everyone, I'm back. So we've let this one cure for a little bit longer actually. One of the things I forgot to do when I put this in is I have some bubbles here. Like I've said in my other videos, this is totally unscripted. Everything is first take. I also have some bubbling in here and over here. So what we're going to do with this one is we're actually going to use some charms to cover up those two spots. I did pick out some charms earlier. When I order charms from Amazon, what I do, I don't just look at nail charms that don't have the little hoops on them, because if you do that, you're limiting yourself. There's a whole bunch of other charms that they have on Amazon and other places that have these little hoops. And these hoops are like if you wanted to add them to a bracelet or something like that. And what I do, I think I've mentioned this in another video before too, is I actually just cut these hoops right off with the pair of metal cutters. So I'll try to do this on camera if I can. Got that side and I got this side. Now sometimes the charms aren't very good for cutting off the hoops. Depends on the kind of hoop it is. I always try to look at it before I purchase it and see if it would be okay for me to cut. And then so it'll look like this after you've cut the hoop off. And sometimes you'll have some sharp edges. So what I do is I actually just take a nail file and I file down these rough edges. I'm going to do this over here so I don't get any dust on my pieces. And these rough pieces too will get covered up with some of the resin, so I wouldn't say it's a safety concern, but I always do like to just file it down a bit. Just a little bit more there. Okay. So with this piece here, we have bubbles. We have some blemishes here. I've cut these cute little bat charms. I've cut the little hoops off the back here that I filed down. And I think what we'll do is we're going to put them here and here to cover up those blemishes. And it kind of keeps with my theme of using bugs and spooky things on my pieces. For this piece here where he's a little bit off center, I think we'll add this little death head moth here. And then on this piece here, I have this cute little skull that we're going to put right up top here. So it's almost like she's reaching for the skull. And it looks very Victorian. So for this step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a layer of low viscosity resin. I don't want anything too thick. And I'm using the craft resin, low viscosity resin. You can see it right there, low viscosity. I purchased this on Amazon. I think it was in a package of 5. I forget how much it cost at the time. It wasn't very expensive, and a little bit of this goes quite a long way. It is very thin, so if you are trying to use this to dome, I would not recommend it. It will just leave a huge mess all over the edges of your bezels. So I'm just going to spread this out. actually get a bigger dotting tool for this. There we go. And I can feel it is kind of chunky over here for some reason. Not sure why, but these bats are going to hide everything. So yeah, very thin layers if you have a dome already. This one is actually pretty domed up. So the thin layer is definitely better. I don't want to add any more resin, but I might have to if I can't. There's some bubbles here that were on the top. I'm trying to just push this resin into it, but those might just have to stay. Oh, we didn't put any on this one yet. Okay, I'm gonna put some on these too. And just push them all the way out to the edges. And I know it's horrible. I normally don't use gloves when I'm working with resin. I know it's very, very bad to do, but I'm trying to be better at using gloves. And I'm sure you've seen in my first few videos, I don't want to set a bad example. So I'm trying to remember, especially in cases like this where I'm going to be putting the charms on the pieces with the resin, because sometimes I do need to use my fingers to move them a little bit, or I try to use my tweezers as much as possible as well, but I don't want to set a bad example. I know some people get very, very bad allergic reactions to the UV resin, so if you are one of those people that has really bad allergic reactions, I feel so sorry. I really do, because that's just, it's not good. Okay, and then our last one here. And I'm almost ready for some new dotting tools. I've noticed that my red one is moving around a bit. It's like come loose from the holder. There we go. So the first thing I typically do before I put my charms on, I will torch this just to make sure I have any bubbles out before I put my charms down. Don't mind my dogs barking. That is what they're good at, sleeping and barking. Okay, so for this one here, we're going to put this bat, oops, right here. And sometimes they tend to move on their own, and that's okay. For the ones that like to move a lot, what I'll typically do is if they're starting to move a lot, I'll try to just cure it on its own and work fast with the other pieces. So I'm going to cure that really quick so those don't move too much. For this guy here, I'm going to put him down right there. And I'm just going to move him underneath my lamp. And then for this guy here, I'm just going to take a little bit, I think. This one we might actually have to hold. Oh, okay. I think that'll work. Okay, and we're just going to move my lamp over and cure these. And we will be right back. Hey everyone, we're back. So I've cured these probably for about 5 minutes. So let's take a look and see what we have. So here is the one that had the bubbles on the corners. You can see that we've completely closed those up with the bats, which is great. Overall, it looks pretty good. Dome isn't too high on this one, but it's good enough for me. If you wanted to, you could go back over this with a little bit more resin, but this is pretty nice. Then the second one we have is the skeleton with our little death head moth there. I'm actually not even sure if that's a death head moth. I can't really tell. It's so small there. But he looks pretty good too. And you know, even if he was like a little off center from when we originally put him on the bezel, the moth kind of centers out the composition a bit. So I really like how this one turned out. And then last but not least, our hands with our eyes. So this is the one that we had to trim quite a bit off. I may go back and dome over this a little bit, but you can see it does have a dome on it. It's just very, very, very small. And then actually that'll help fill in these little gaps here where the skeleton is. So I might go over this one more time with the high viscosity resin and dome it up just a little bit more. But overall, it's pretty nice. And you can see that they are hands, even though we had to cut off some of that. So I will put a link to everything that I've used in the description of the video. I look forward to seeing everyone's pieces. And definitely let me know if there are any other things that you would like to see. I'm always trying new things, so I appreciate the suggestions. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I hope to talk to you all soon. Bye.